Hello forward thinkers and welcome to another episode of Urban Canvas. In this episode we have Demetra Kalitsi, a researcher and project manager at AKTI Project and Research Center, where she focuses on sustainability, environmental policy and cultural advocacy. We will be discussing culture's role in climate action. Currently, Demetra leads efforts on CORES, a project dedicated to integrating culture into climate policy across Malta, Greece and Cyprus. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can also find us on Spotify and at fastforward.com.cy. Demetra, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So you have a background in fine arts, and you have exhibited your work internationally and collaborated on interdisciplinary projects that bridge culture and environmental action. So in your opinion and through your experience, how can art bridge the gap between cultural and environmental sectors?
I think this is something that we aim to achieve through the project. So through the CORES project, which is funded by the EU, co-funded by the EU and the Deputy Ministry of Culture, we aim to bring people operating within the cultural and creative sector together with people working in the environmental field, to work together to better identify, to better understand and identify the gaps, needs and resources and barriers that people in the creative sector face, and to help them in their transition and risk preparedness, let's say, or resilience towards climate change impacts that affect them.
Okay, do you think that culture is often overlooked in climate policy? And how can it contribute to sustainable development?
I think that a lot has been achieved on the road to green transition, but not at the degree and speed required to avoid a climate collapse.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we need an accelerated approach where diverse voices are included in environmental policy. And I think that culture and the creative sector are one of the most underrepresented and unexplored sectors when it comes to environmental policies and action and discourse, and more specifically the livelihoods of people operating within the sector, oral traditions, natural heritage, social practices are all highly vulnerable to the effects of climate change, yet they remain largely absent from key frameworks such as the Paris Agreement or from development aid. I think it should be included, culture and the creative sector should be included in the discussion about environmental action, but also development aid should be, they should have access to development aid for that reason. And for example, UNESCO has identified in recent years that climate inclusion and integration in environmental discourse is one of their top priorities.
Very interesting to hear that UNESCO is doing that. So what would you think are the main challenges? We can talk about Cyprus, but also globally, that creative industries face in adapting to climate change?
I think that further research is required to be able to answer that, and that's what we aim to do through the project. There's a long history of artists and creatives working in the field of ecology, and I think that culture and arts can be a very powerful tool in highlighting or raising awareness about environmental issues. My personal favorite artist is Ana Mendieta. In her work, she raised issues of how we coexist with nature, how we're dependent upon nature, but also gender issues. So that's what we aim to do through the project, to further support them in their actions, in their efforts to highlight how important climate action against climate change is.
I agree, and I think sometimes through art we absorb messages better than, let's say, from a conference or from formal education. There's something powerful about conveying a message through a piece of art. So In your opinion, how can cultural institutions, artists and performers integrate sustainability practices into their work? So not only giving the message, but practically in the process of making the work be more sustainable?
This is what we aim to do through the project. So, as I mentioned previously, further research is needed to better understand the barriers that they have, the gaps that they have in terms of how they can be more sustainable in their practices. So through the Goddess project, we aim to bring people operating in the environmental field together with people working in the creative sector, so we can better understand their barriers and the gaps that they might have, but also to offer the resources, the tools, the know-how for them to independently lead their transition towards greener practices, let's say, but also to advocate, to support them in advocating for the inclusion of the sector in development and in the decisions, environmental decisions that affect them.
Yeah, and you mentioned before the importance of diverse voices. Do you have a specific example from your experience at AKTI where those diverse voices played an integral role into learning something new or advancing the cause?
I would refer to our project called Green Enough. It's a European project that has recently ended, where we worked with people with developmental and intellectual disabilities in Europe to support them in their inclusion in social dialogue, let's say, by supporting them by supporting their environmental knowledge.
Yeah, interesting. How did you get, initially interested in sustainability as an artist? When was like the shift, or when did those two worlds merge together for you?
I wouldn't say there was a certain point where the two worlds meet. I think it's just me as a person being interested in these things. Let's say I love the sea, I love the environment, so I think it came naturally, the connection, let's say. If it comes to how I evolved let's say, in working at AKTI, I would say through my past experience with working with the European projects, let's say.
So I assume that there's a lot of involvement between AKTI and policymakers. Are there any specific policies that you would like to see change or be implemented in Cyprus in regards to prioritizing culture in environmental decision making?
I think that's what we aim to do through the project. So one of the key outcomes of the project that we aim to have at the end of the project, that over the course of 3 years, is the development of a policy tool that would support the inclusion of artists in environmental discourse and action.
Great. So you're in touch with all of the government officials and
the European Union? Not personally, but I think we're trying to convey a message. I think what we aim to do in our work is to show the importance of having diverse voices in decision-making processes instead of a one-size-fits-all approach. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the environment and climate change impacts, different people, different groups of people, different sectors are affected differently. So we need to be able to understand how they are affected in order to be able to offer tailored solutions.
That's very important. Do you see any emerging trends in cultural sustainability? Anything that excites you? Any hope for the future? I know we live in a very vulnerable time when it comes to climate action, but any hope out there?
I would say that I think it's a fairly new field, let's say, and as I said previously, that further research and data is required to see what the trends are, let's say, and
Do you gather the data at AKTI, or do you collaborate with other organizations that do research? We
do have a data analyst in-house, so yeah.
So hopefully in the next 5-10 years we'll have more data to see how we can approach this issue. Okay, I'm gonna make you a couple of rapid questions and see where we stand. I want you to tell me a piece of art that inspired your environmental awareness, whether that is a book, a film, an exhibition.
I wouldn't say that art exhibitions or films or books inspire my environmental awareness, let's say. I think that, as cliche or cheesy as it sounds, the greatest source of inspiration or of understanding how important the environment is nature itself.
Nature itself.
Yeah.
Are you a hike person? Are you a long
I used to go
walks?
on hikes a few years ago. I was like full on with it, like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, we used to do it with a group of friends every Saturday. But I got tired.
Okay,
or
so
lazy,
favorite
let's
hike
say.
trail?
Sorry?
Favorite hike trail in Cyprus?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I don't know.
I like the Agios Nikolaos one. But it starts from Kakopetria and it goes all the way to Troodos. I think that's a really good one. Do you have a quote or a mantra you live by?
I don't really have a quote or a mantra in life. I just try to follow my gut and my
That's
heart.
a good one. You follow your gut.
Yeah.
Any practical sustainability tip that anyone can apply today? Just one simple change anyone can do.
I would say just to try to avoid or minimize the use of single-use plastics. So try to carry a reusable water bottle with you or a reusable mug. And you can also always follow AKTI on our social media for more ways on how we can live more sustainably and join our efforts.
Do you want to close with any exciting new projects AKTI has, or tell us something more about Cores?
I think for me the exciting new project that we have is Cores, and I hope it goes well. We have a very inspiring partnership with partners from Malta and Greece, and yeah.
If somebody wants to get involved, is that something possible?
Yes, of course. I think the Cores cannot exist without the contribution, without the active engagement of people operating in the creative and the cultural sector, but also people in the environmental field. So they're more than welcome to join forces with us, and they can contact us on our social media or via email.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Demetra, for joining us today. So I'm Pavlos Christou, and I encourage you to check out our new podcast, Expats Unpacked, where we focus on the experiences of expat professionals in Cyprus and their engagement with the local community. You can also check out our flagship podcast, Breakpoint, with Michael Tirimos, for in-depth conversations with the most successful high-profile figures in Cyprus. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can also find us on Spotify and at fastforward.com.cy. Until next time, keep inspiring and take care.